Hey, what's going on, guys? Old School Matt here. Today is Peruvian Independence Day. I wanted to wish all my Peruvians out there a happy Independence Day. Feliz Día de Independencia a mis peruanos para un país tan especial, uno de los mejores países del mundo. Today I wanted to explain to you guys and talk to you guys about a very special Peruvian in my life, someone who's influenced my Peruvian love for the culture, the love that I have for my culture, my grandfather who had passed away earlier this summer, June 11th. I wanted to make a video honoring his life on a special day for Peruvians. Peruvian Independence Day is a very, very special day, obviously. It's celebrated all over Peru, and due to COVID-19, there's not going to be a lot of celebration this year. But I think doing something like this is going to pay great homage to my grandfather and be a great way to kind of remember him and also remember what it means to be Peruvian, how the values and the things that we have within us with all the Peruvians in Peru and Peruvians here in the United States take with us throughout our life and pass down to our generation or our children. And I hope all the Peruvians out there that are watching this can really sit down and understand the Peruvian culture and maybe dig deeper and to see what they were born to be, what they were raised to have, their values, their religion, and all of the above. So happy Independence Day to all my Peruvians out there again. I'm going to be doing this video in English just so you guys can get an understanding and just so I can speak to a larger majority of people. Maybe I can come back and revisit this video and do it in Spanish one day. Perdón, no voy a hablar en español porque estoy tratando de hablar a mi audiencia, a mis amigos, a mis familia. Perdón para los que están en Perú. Quizás voy a hacer otro video haciéndolo en español. My Spanish is a little bit off right now. It's very, very early in the morning. I'm a little bit tired. So here we go. We're gonna start this video with the beginning of my grandpa's life. So check it out. Okay guys, so my grandfather was born in 1937. He was born in a very, very modest lifestyle. His parents didn't have tons of money. They were born in Cusco, Peru. So if you guys know, that's an area where it's very mountainy. They have a lot of different types of agriculture up there. They have a lot of mining, a lot of stuff involving going into the mines, working in there, jungle stuff, all that type of things that you would see in a movie where people would go with hard hats and kind of just go deep in there, and whatever sort of mother nature land that they have the ability to go into, they'll work, they can do what they have to do. So that's what he did growing up, was basically work for his father's business, work for other families' businesses. So definitely a pioneer. That's what I had written here. He later started to go, into the more traditional setting, education. He started to go to college. He went to school in Argentina for a year. He met some cool friends. Always was very team-oriented, also being an individual as well. He was very good at leading people, helping people out. This is a picture of him playing soccer in his late teens, early 20s. Very, very, personable guy. Had always been about, having a good group of people around you. Small group, but a very good group. So from here, he met my grandmother after college. They got together. They were together for over 50 years until he passed away this year. They were like best friends. I wrote wife equals life because his feelings for her was really special, and it's something that I try to carry over into my own relationship. He always valued her. He really thought that she was, above and beyond extra, and she really was, and he made her be that way as well. He really pushed her and tried to help her become this lady that she knew that she could become, and they complemented each other. They were together for a very long time. They never did anything without each other, but they could sustain themselves without each other. They had times and periods where they would go, maybe months without seeing each other, especially during the time when they were trying to immigrate here to the United States. They loved each other, they valued each other, and that's something that I like to take from their relationship, was the values that they instill from one another and the way that they show one another love, especially from when they first started dating and then getting married. So yeah, from here, obviously they lived life. They actually moved to Ica, Peru. That's where they met. So they went from the jungle to a more, lower class city, but they helped, in a lot of ways helped build it up. So he was a part of a lot of philanthropy in Peru. He started a club called Club Cusco. I'll show you guys on screen. They made a mural for him, remembering him before he left to the United States. Great dude. He also did Junior Chamber International, which was an organization and is an organization that pairs up with local communities to help them in their efforts that they need. So not just doing, you know, things on a wide scale, but really specializing in specific areas based off of their community's needs and whatnot. Yeah, so from here, he had his first daughter, which was my mom, Maria Eugenia Irene Vera Padilla. So my mom was very special to him. Obviously, she was born in 1972. My grandparents had been married for 3 years at that time. You know, very, very special day in his life. He talks about it all the time. She was a pretty cute kid. He really, really valued her. And then I think from there, he really got motivated to really start to make some moves in Peru. So he started, like I said, very, very modest, even would say even poor, and he started to build his way up slowly and slowly. He started to, you know, climb that ladder and get to the point to where, you know, he was almost a lot of times people would say like a celebrity in his town. I know it was a small place, but you know, and that has nothing to do with you know, him or his character, but he really started to want to better himself, and from there people started liking him. He started to have more and more traction, and then he started to become someone who's, you know, pretty successful. He did a lot of sales in Peru. He did a lot of sales for veterinarians and feed for their animals, you know, dog food, cat food. At that time, that was huge. He was a distribution, he's also a part of a distribution company. He did their distribution for that type of stuff. He also did supplies, and he basically did a lot of supply chain management stuff. He was, you know, involved in distributing and being like the, you know, getting the stuff from one place and giving it to another. Very, very entrepreneurial like, you know, did a lot of that type of stuff. He was a very good salesman as well, as I've been told. So from here, you know, what did he do? So he had courage from here, because I think during that time he knew that there was more for him out there in the world, not necessarily monetarily, but this is where I want to, you know, throw some of those Peruvian values in there, is, you know, having courage, being able to, you know, fight for what you think is true, but also being able to fight for yourself and your family. And when I say fight, I don't mean advocacy or, you know, whatever. I mean actually get there and do the work. So, you know, he kind of took on life, and he looked onto life and he said, you know, what am I going to do to make my family succeed? How am I going to push my kids? Because at this point, he had another daughter, another two daughters, Jovi and Anna, my aunts, and my mom at the time. So he said, what can I do as a man to help me, you know, kind of push myself forward? So from here, he actually didn't go to the United States. He wanted to make a big investment into a project. It had to do with seafood, and now he was looking to, you know, push even more this point in his life, you know, accentuate his, you know, his greatness, his rise to success in Peru. Unfortunately, due to terrorism in Peru, he had some issues, and people vandalized his property and many of the other properties that were invested in, and they kind of, I think they contaminated the waters. So he ended up losing, you know, equivalent to hundreds of thousands of dollars today, maybe even more. Not really sure the value. So from there, he kind of was like at a standstill. So he's like, what do I do? You know? So he had the courage to make something, you know, great of himself, to take that next step to really, you know, get there. And when I say get there, like I said, for his family, for his, you know, everybody in my very family. From here, he actually, you know, sat down and thought, what should I do? And another one of my great uncles, and I hope to have him one day on my podcast, is my uncle Tio Chino. He actually moved to the United States before any of my other uncles, and he had moved here, you know, a couple years prior. And he reached out to my grandfather and my other uncle, Tio Carlos, and said, you know, you guys should come here, and I have someone who can help you get a job. We can kind of have your own business here. All you have to do is, you know, kind of work hard and get after it. And I know a lady who's doing ice cream trucks, so you should come here and you should, you know, try to make better for your life. He said, I came here because I wanted to be better. I wanted to have, you know, a new journey. I wanted to get away from Peru. And I think if you look at it in another spectrum, even though you're not going to have the same type of money you would have in Peru, you building something new. So my grandfather, obviously, you know, with his family, he took that next step. He came here, United States, something completely new. Literally started from almost being a figurehead in Peru, almost having some sort of, you know, wealth and something that he could pass on to later generations in Peru, and dignity and legacy. He came to the United States to say, you know what, I'm gonna make this my legacy. And that's something that a lot of Peruvians have done, not just him. Many Peruvians have immigrated here, and they said, you know what, I know that I'm gonna suffer. I know that I'm not gonna live comfortably. I'm gonna be uncomfortable. I'm not gonna be able to speak English. I'm gonna have a hard time. But I want to do what's good for my family and for the future generations in my family. And that's something that a lot of people my age, they don't understand, they don't respect. from their Peruvian elders. And I see it, I live it every day. I try to live it, regardless of whether that's, you know, working, starting my own business, whatever it is, you know, being involved in family and trying to better my family. I see it, and I'm so grateful that I was able to have somebody like that. So continue on to the story. So in the late 80s, early 90s, they started the immigration process. Now that story is another story for another day, but they finally got here. My grandfather started his own business in a way. He got an ice cream truck. He was an entrepreneur, not only here, but in Peru as well. Didn't have the resources. He was also 52 at the time, turning 53. So if you can imagine being 53 years old, getting ready to be at that level where you step up and you're like, you know what, I got that money in my country. And someone saying, you know what, or God saying, because in reality, I think that God really was the one who pushed him, and himself, obviously, but saying, you know what, we're gonna move. You're gonna start with nothing, literally nothing. My grandfather lived in a 2-bedroom house with 4 other people, and when they first moved here, nothing. They came from a place where they were living in a 4-story, not mansion, but almost, you know, a very comfortable lifestyle, cars, all this stuff, to working as an ice cream man. Didn't speak any English. You know, something like that, I have to applaud. I have to, you know, give to him and really, and just thank him for putting in that work, because if it wasn't him, it was gonna be me. And it was me, it is me, but he literally put in the work every day. Hot car, you know, going to neighborhoods that weren't very safe, talking to people that, you know, and you talk about racism, people that were racist towards him, prejudiced towards him, you know, for being Hispanic, all that type of stuff. He went through it all. Entrepreneur. He dealt with very, very hard adversities that entrepreneurs nowadays would never have to deal with. He had to do a lot of stuff that a lot of people didn't have to do. And for him to create something that was even took him off the ground is incredible to me. And that goes back to Peruvian values, and while we're celebrating el Dia de Independencia, is because Peruvians had that willpower. They had the might to be independent of Spain at that time. They took the steps to go to where they had to go, and many countries have. And you know, and it's not just Peruvians. It's cultural values that stay within us. But some part of the Peruvian value is to always, you know, be on your toes, be ready to go. You know, family first, hard work first, get ready to go, push yourself. So from here, you know, I wanted to include this because obviously my grandfather was very, very big on the God and big on religion. He actually started Señor de los Milagros, that's Señor de Lourdes, that's one of the saints that is from Ica, but Señor de los Milagros is a wider scale part of that religious tradition that Peruvians like to celebrate in every October. He started that club in a church in West Palm Beach called St. Juliana's, club I'm still a part of today. These shirts are actually made to donate to that club. You know, a lot of the Peruvian community gets around during October time and throughout the year, and they do amazing things. They get together, they talk, they praise God, and something that, you know, he'd be super proud of me doing as well. So from here, you know, obviously, like I was talking about, God was a really big, important part of his life. So God goes back to family. God blessed him with the ability to come here and do what he had to do to make sure his family was set in place, make sure the girls were always set, paid for college, paid for whatever they needed. He was there for them, supported them throughout all their endeavors, physically, mentally, emotionally, monetarily, everything. He was there for them. And I think that with the power of God and with his ability to believe in God and have that sort of value that a lot of my peers in this time and day and age, they don't really value because they kind of omit their culture, is something that I think that should carry on in our legacy, especially with traditional religious events such as Señor de los Milagros. From here, like I said, family, he's back to his new life. They built something finally, daughters, all 3 went to college, all university, jobs, business, everything set. Grandmother worked here as a teacher as well. They worked until they were in their late 70s to help provide. That's something incredible my grandfather did, and I'm blessed and proud to have someone that's that dedicated to his family's success to work into his later 70s when he could have retired in Peru probably at 55 and been on a beach chair somewhere and probably still alive at that point, at this point. From here, obviously family has gone on. I was his first grandson. I like to put I was his first son. We've shared a lot of good memories together, as you guys have seen. You know, I love him to death. and I really appreciate him pushing this Peruvian culture, this Peruvian love on me. I'm super happy and super dedicated towards him and his legacy as well. You know, he always would call me his hijo, and he was a great father figure in my life. You know, I only had one grandfather. I had my dad, of course. My dad's a great father, but he gave me a different side that I never was able to have with anybody else. Great dude, a lot of good memories. He pushed me in many ways, not by motivating me in the words much. Obviously he helped me and when I was a kid, but he pushed me in the way that now I'm seeing how much of this was put into what I am, what my sister is, what my cousins are, and a lot of other people in the United States, a lot of other immigrants in the United States that have family that don't really take advantage of what they were given. They take advantage. They don't take advantage of what they're given. They take advantage of the people that gave it to them, and it's kind of upsetting. But I'm really happy to be able to have been his grandson for the time that I've been. You know, happy Independence Day to all my Peruvians out there. Feliz Dia de Independencia. You know, thank you guys for watching this video. He's symbolically passing me that baton. You know, with the passing of his death. Of course, I was very upset. I was very sad, but I think he'd be very happy to see this on Independence Day. You know, showing his independence of the state that he was in when he was in Peru. You know, having that that thing that was holding his family back, his legacy back. For him to take that step of independence, coming here, I think is 100%. Lined up with Peruvian values. It shows, you know, what a true Peruvian is: grit, hard work, the loving God, the faith in the family, the faith in others that are good to you is what we believe in. We're very, very oriented in our food, our culture, and many more. I'm very happy to be living his legacy for Jorge Vera. You know, thank you, Grandpa. Gracias, abuelito. Y thank you for everyone for watching this video. Happy Independence Day. I don't know why I keep messing up. Happy Independence Day to all my Peruvians out there. Thank you guys for watching. Feliz Día de Independencia. Si estás en Perú, gracias por mirando este video. Ojalá que yo puedo trasladarle para ti y para todos los peruanos y todos los veras ahí en Perú. Gracias por mirar. Te quiero mucho. Te amo. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope this kind of made sense to you. Super great, you know, flow here. Started with a pioneer, ended with a legacy. Happy Independence Day, guys. I would love to speak to any of my Peruvians out there that want to talk more about this, and hopefully get to speak to some of my other family later. You know, being a Peruvian is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Peace.
Te daré la vida y cuando yo muera me uniré en la tierra contigo, Perú. Te daré la vida y cuando yo muera me uniré en la tierra contigo, Perú.